Hi, Gene.
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm good. How's New York? Is it New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York. I'm just taking a little walk right now. So I
Nice.
don't know if Fiona told you it's totally fine for you to be doing your podcast at the computer, but all of my podcasts are done on a walk or a run. And then we
Okay.
invite listeners to walk around with us. So usually that's done in person, but since we can't be in person now, we're doing them on Zoom. And so I'm just walking in my neighborhood in New York City. It's one of the only things that you can go do now is take a walk. And you're obviously, where are you? You're in London?
Yeah, I'm in London. I'm in my house. So we're allowed 1 hour of exercise a day. Do you want me to walk around the room?
Yeah, sure. That would be good. Do you feel
Well, you won't
spirit?
get. Well, I'm on my PC. I'm not on my phone at the moment, so
Okay.
you won't get my picture. You either got the picture or you got me exercising, one or the other.
Let's just keep it the way it is. It's totally fine.
Okay. Sure.
Maybe throw in some like push-ups or something at the end or something.
There we go. I'll do some push-ups.
So anyway, I'm recording now. This is just going to be like a regular chat. And nice to meet you. How are things in London?
They're all right. We're sort of in our 4th week of lockdown now. It's I think at the moment people are keeping to it. The government's supporting the workers. Obviously there's a lot of challenge, but we're seeing the numbers slip away a bit day by day. So we feel we're past the peak. But who knows? Looking at New York, it looks pretty bad. I mean, you've obviously had a terrible time of it. Do you think you're past the peak yet?
I hope so. That's what the numbers on the news show is, that it's plateaued and hopefully starting to come down a little bit as far as the new hospitalizations.
Sure.
Fortunately, on a personal level, like I'm not experiencing the virus in that way. So I haven't been. I'm not a medical worker, so I'm not in the hospital, obviously. And but it's just eerie. Like I'm in
Sure.
right now, for people when they're gonna take a look. I'm standing in a playground. There's a school right here, and every morning I walk. This is the way that I walk to work. I walk past the school, and this playground would be packed, packed with kids. And there's nobody here. There's nobody on the streets. The other day I was just walking down the center of Park Avenue, no cars.
Yeah.
And
it's eerie, isn't it? It's eerie.
It's very eerie in New York City. And I was talking with someone yesterday, and they were saying that it reminded them of 9/11 in that there was no planes overhead.
Right.
And remembered, how after 9/11 they never heard any planes. And it's true, like there's no planes in the sky. There's a car honking right there. There's still some cars on the street there. There's still people going somewhere right now, but not like it would be.
And is there news of when the schools will go back?
I don't think that they're going back this year.
Oh, really?
I think it'll be until next year. New York City, absolutely 100%. They already said that the school year's done. They're just doing virtual learning for the school year.
Yeah.
What about over there? So.
Yeah. So, my kids are a bit older. They're at university, so it's sort of what you call school, we call university. But they're not going back. Their degrees are being marked based on their coursework and their previous set of exam results. And that's difficult for them because obviously they're coming up to the last semester, and they're not able to say goodbye to their friends. They're not able to bring closure to their degrees. That's a bit weird. And interviewing now is really hard. Getting work. I mean, no one's taking on new workers. Just everything is on freeze. It's really hard. We're fortunate. I've got two parts to my world. I have a commercial business, and nearly all that work is for government. And so we're fortunate we've got sort of good contracts and long-term contracts. And then I set up this charity that's not for profit 8 years ago. And obviously that's grown and grown because it's a fundraising platform, and that's really popular at the moment. So it's I'm fortunate. I'm in a position where we've got work on the commercial side, and on the not-for-profit side, but we're seeing growth, which is awesome.
What is your commercial side? What do you do?
So we're web builders, mostly large government applications and websites, integrated websites. So what we call digital transformation over here.
Okay.
So there's a ton of work for the public sector, for the government, so moving stuff online, becoming more efficient, removing antiquity, updating their services. So yeah, we do that, and we apply for tenders, we win those, and that might give us 3 years of relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then they spoke, and then you have the charity side as well, which I think is what Fiona reached out about to see. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I would love to learn more. I really want to share kind of like the way that this podcast has taken shape lately, is to really just share how different people are stepping up to the challenge of the current coronavirus crisis. And it sounds like you were doing something interesting, and just want to hear what's going on over there in England generally, but I'd love to hear what you're doing on your nonprofit side.
Well, it's likewise. I was looking at your website. I hadn't come across Charity Miles before. I really like the idea. So it's sponsored by corporates, and then every time you take exercise, that hands money back over to your listed charities. It's cool. Nice.
Thank you.
I'm a cyclist, so I was glad to see that one of your sponsors is Garmin, isn't it?
Not at the moment, but yeah, we have worked with Garmin. Yeah, so we're lucky to have been worked with them.
They're a large organization, so yeah, good to see
and
them.
They always give us watches and stuff to give away, which is nice too. So
oh well, if you've got any spares, I'll always take one. But but yeah, I mean, your charities are fantastic, aren't they? WWF and the Alzheimer's and prevention of cruelty to animals. And a lot of these we recognise as being similar to the ones we've got here, Sight for Kids and Save the Children, so leukemia. So fantastic what you're doing. So would it be helpful if I just tell you a little bit about why we exist, and then maybe tell you some stories of what's going on? Would that be interesting to your listeners?
Absolutely, would love to hear.
Let's do that. So we exist because the
By the way,
what
is the name of your organization? Just start with that.
Yeah, so it's called National Funding Scheme.
Okay.
And I know a long time back, so we started about 2012. And in 2014, I came over to the US to sort of talk about what we plan to do and see if there's anything similar, and just do some background research. And I remember then everyone said, don't call it National Funding Scheme, call it National Funding something else, but not Scheme, because that has a negative.
Say, scheme is a funny word. That's like,
yeah.
I'm from New Jersey. It sounds like something that would be very, very New Jersey. Like,
right.
We got a scheme that we're cooking up.
I think it has a negative connotation in the US, so it maybe doesn't translate. But here in the UK, it just means a platform. It just means a service. It doesn't really have a negative connotation.
Okay.
And so we exist as a charity. So that's unusual in the first place, because anyone who does something similar to us is a commercial entity. And we wanted to be a charity and have some of the benefits of being a charity, but also make sure that any monies that we earn from it go back into a charitable endeavor.
Okay.
But the challenge, as I say, about 8 years ago, was the drive to contactless giving and people not carrying cash. And if I used to speak to an audience, the amount of pounds and dollars people had in their wallets was dropping all the time. So having volunteers on the street and having bucket collections, all that was all, you could see what was going to happen. It was going to dry up. And we wanted to find a way for people to be able to give in a coordinated manner through their mobile devices. And at that stage, obviously websites were beginning to make their donate buttons responsive on their websites. But some were and some weren't. And text giving was quite large, was growing, but there were thousands of different systems being run. They weren't integrated with the web giving. So a charity could never have a complete picture of who was giving to them. They would have a platform for text, a platform for web, probably a platform for sponsorship, for events like a platform called Just Giving, which I think you have in the States too.
Yep.
Then they would have a whole load of other stuff going on, and then contactless was going to turn up 4 or 5 years later, and all these things were different platforms, and so a nightmare for a charity organizer, a fundraiser, to try and get some understanding of what was going on. And we also you have tax deduction in the US. We have something called gift aid, and that requires the charity to make a claim back to the equivalent of the IRS. And so they need all their information in one place, and they weren't able to have their information in one place. So the result of all this was to say, right, we're going to set up a charity which brings all these different services into one place and allow a charity to have a single platform where they can access the web giving, the text giving, and the contactless giving, to make it easier for them, but also make it easier for the donor.
Right.
And so that's what we provide. We're the only people in the world to do it. It took about 4 years to bring it all together into one place. Of course, now there are thousands of charities in the UK, some overseas as well, using the platform.
Wow.
And raising millions, and it's a great service. And of course, what we've seen over the last the last month, 6 weeks, is just dramatic increase. I mean, just 30 times as much giving going on through the platform.
That's great to hear.
I mean, people are so generous. I think two things are going on. I think there's obviously the not-for-profits aren't able to fundraise. They haven't got events. They haven't got charity shops open. They haven't got volunteers on the streets. So that's a constraint. They need to find digital ways of doing it. And necessity is the mother of invention. That's definitely true. But then on the other side, you've got the public who, are locked up in their houses. They want to do something. They want to support the medical services. They want to support the emergency services who are out there. All the people who are keeping the lives going, and yet they feel hopeless. They feel helpless. I mean, not hopeless. They feel helpless. They feel disjointed. And so being able to give some money to say thank you is perhaps what people are doing here.
Yep.
And of course, a lot of these individuals are passionate about the arts. They might be passionate about the medical services. They might be passionate about dogs and cats or whatever it is, looking after the elderly. But they can't do anything. And so, if the charity is clever, it will put out say, look, we need some money to keep the service going, to keep our staff, to keep looking after whoever we look after. And we've seen some great innovations of how they've done that, and we've, the platform's benefited from that, which is great. Yeah,
it's amazing to see, like, the desire to help right now is so strong, and it's so weird for people to say that the best way for you to help is to stay home and sit on your couch and watch Netflix. And that's true.
Right.
That's true. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day in a podcast that we put out yesterday where he was saying that it's an act of love. Like, it's crazy right now that this is so quiet.
Yeah.
Around me right now. It's just absolutely insane. And he was saying, but that's an act of love. The fact that people are sacrificing like that is an act of love. And it's true, but people still want to do something. They want to give back. They want, at 7:00 here at night, people come out their windows and everybody cheers and they ring bells and they sing songs to say thank you to the medical workers and the first responders. And just the desire to give back, desire to do something is so strong. And I know that, just being able to make a little donation to charity is one thing. Like, the other day, I was like, I want to do something. I just made a donation to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. It's not an organization that's working on the coronavirus, but it's an organization that means a lot to me. And I know that, like most charities, they're, scrambling to figure out what to make up for their spring events and all the things that you mentioned that they can't do right now. Just to be able to make that little donation made me feel so much better. Yeah.
It's affirming, isn't it? It's affirming to us as humans to be able to feel connected to something where we can make some difference, whatever, what amazes me, Gene, is that some people are lost their jobs. They're worried about their income. They've got children living at home with them in close proximity, maybe 3 generations, and yet they're still giving, dollars here and there to help others. I mean, that's just, it's just heartwarming.
It is. It's amazing. And it's I don't know what the right word for it is. It's just great. I mean, I think it just makes you feel so much better to help other people, even when you yourself need the help.
Right.
It makes you feel better to help other people.
Yeah, there's no question.
I think that there's a lot of that going on right now.
there is I guess maybe, have you seen something similar with you? I mean, people running and using charity miles. Have you seen sort of an increase in interest and participation?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, activity in our app has nearly tripled in the last month,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, one of the only things you can do right now is go for a walk. And so one of the things that, is nice, like along the route where I usually go running in the mornings, and I did a run earlier this morning, there's like more people out than there were before because, going for a walk or a run is like the only thing you can do now. And people have found this new appreciation for being outside that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
Right? Like, being told that you have to stay inside makes you want to go outside more.
Sure.
And
sure.
I feel like people they're going for walks. It's like a simple pleasure. I always love going for a walk. I love going for a run. It's just, put in a podcast or not, put in some music or not, and go with, a friend if you can, like 6 feet apart. Do a Zoom podcast walk like I'm doing now. It's like a simple appreciation of being able to go out, get a little bit of fresh air. But yeah, we've definitely seen people walking more, running more with the app, wanting to give back more. I actually had a friend, this is actually really cool. I sent a newsletter out to our members the other day about this, but I was on Facebook and I saw a video of a friend of mine from growing up, Danielle, and she was dancing with her daughter in like a TikTok video. And it said, we'll keep dancing if you keep donating. And I was like, what is this about?
Wow.
And at the time she had raised like $12,000. She set up a Venmo account. She's not a charity. She's not anything. She just set up a Venmo account called Help the First Responders. And the idea was that people could donate to the Venmo account and she would take the money and she would use it to buy food from local restaurants to feed the medical workers in the hospitals, because the medical workers, she had a friend who was like in ER. She was talking to a friend in the ER and they're like, we don't have time to eat or cook or anything. We just need food. And obviously all the local restaurants are suffering because nobody can go to their restaurants.
Sure.
So she gets people to donate to this Venmo account, uses the money to support the local restaurants by buying their food and having them cook. And the food is then delivered to the hospitals to feed the first responders. And by the time that I saw this video, she had already raised over $12,000 in a few days. And I think she's raised over $25,000, and they fed over 3,500 meals to the medical. And that's also not only is it feeding the medical workers, but it's supporting the local restaurants. And she's not a charity, she's not anything. She just set up a Venmo account and is dancing with her daughter on TikTok, or her kids, her family on TikTok, and sharing them on Facebook. And just the desire for people to like just do something, and then all the people supporting her to do something. It's been amazing to see things like that pop up.
We've got a big campaign starting. So on the 26th of April, where we would normally have the London Marathon.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to happen. And
yeah,
so
we
the
were supposed to have
guys.
the Boston Marathon yesterday. That didn't,
It didn't happen, and so here in London, what they've done is they put all the charities who would normally benefit from that marathon have come together to create what they've called the 26 Challenge. The 26 Challenge happens on the 26th of April, and you can do anything. You can bake 26 cakes, you can jump 26 times, you can walk 26 miles, you can do whatever you want. It's got to have the number 26 in it, and it's a massive fundraiser for all the charities who would have benefited from the London Marathon. So it's going to be a big night in. We'll have a bit over the TV. All those charities are out there gaining support, gaining income. It's this innovation, I think, which we've got a charity. It's called the Academy of Ancient Music. So they put out Handel and all this old beautiful music. Well, they would normally raise money at concerts. They can't raise money. They can't raise money at concerts now, so they are having virtual concerts. But on the virtual concert, it says, keep our academy going, make a donation. And they've raised £20,000 in 2 weeks. What's that? Wow. $30,000 in 2 weeks. Just by their supporters listening in, and it's not going to go. We're not going to go back to the old thing. We're going to keep going with this digital stuff. People are going to realize there's other ways to engage. There's other ways to give pleasure to hard-to-reach audiences who can't go to the festival halls to listen to the music. We're just opening up new stuff all the time. It's great.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's opening up new opportunities. Like, we work with an organization called Playing for Change, which is a phenomenal organization that does forever. So I think they started in like 2001 or something like that, but they've been doing this thing where they support music initiatives around the world. So they have music, they give instruments and music programs to kids around the world. But one of the ways that they support that is they make these online videos where they'll take a popular song like Ripple by the Grateful Dead or Imagine by John Lennon, and they have people around the world playing that song and they mash it up into a video. Very much like you're seeing now on Facebook all over the place. Like people are doing this a lot now, where they'll have like somebody singing in, Boston and somebody playing the guitar in LA and somebody playing the flute in London, and they mash it up. They've been doing that forever with like incredible musicians. And I was always like, man, and now that's like catching on with like lots of people doing it. And I think it's great. So I think that it's good that people are kind of seeing these new opportunities. Like you said, necessity is the mother of invention. And I hope that there's a lot of things that are happening right now that don't stop once we come out of the pandemic.
I know what, every commentator you read about sort of talks about lifestyle change. It changed after the Spanish flu epidemic, and it will change after this one. And I'm sure that we will take great learnings both in how we look after our planet, how we conduct our lives, but also in how we consider the digital environment as a equal route to reach various audiences who otherwise are excluded.
That's right.
Cool. So
even this itself is great. Like the fact that I never would have been able to do a podcast with you because I was so stringent in having to be in person, going on a walk or a run with somebody. And then once I wasn't able to do that, I was like, all right, well, I got to figure out how to do it on Zoom. And now I can do a podcast with you in London and hear what's going on over there and share the work that you're doing and what, the scene on the ground there with all of our members. So I'm appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of you for making the time.
Not at all. Would you normally have done podcasts with people outside the US, or was it mainly just within the US?
I mean, I would have done it with anybody, but I had to be with them in order to record it, because I would have to be on a walk or a run with them. I was very strict about that. But you know what? Necessity is the mother of invention. We got Zoom now. I can be out walking with my phone. Some of the guests have been, not able to walk, which is totally fine. But a bunch of them I've done in the last couple of days, they've been able to take their phone out too and also walk. And you know what? It's good. I'm able to share so much more. I'm able to hear from so many and learn from so many more people like you that I never would have had the opportunity to connect with. And now I'm able to do that. I had to get shaken up a little bit in order to see a different opportunity. And that's just like a very trivial example, to be honest. And I know that it's a trivial example, but it is an example, and it's a lesson that I'm trying to learn myself, how to see more, be more creative, and see other opportunities in this mess.
But Gene, our lives are built up of triviality. It's a atomic life made up of tiny little bits of triviality which form amazing science or amazing arts. It all comes from trivial elements. So, we're all doing our own thing, and that is the magic of it.
That's true. That is true. Sure. Well, thank you for sharing. Is there like a call to action or something that you want to leave our members with?
I think just have a look at what we're doing, nationalfundingscheme.org, and see if it's relevant in the US and see if we could help over there. We'd be delighted to. If someone is interested in us, we'd love to find a partner and trial something. There's no reason why it can't work over there. It's working over here for sure. It's huge now. So, if anyone wants to pick up on it and get in touch with me, my email address is just hello@nationalfundingscheme.org. That will reach me, and I'll take it on from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Will. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I hope that you're staying safe out there, keeping in good spirits, and hopefully everybody out there who's been walking or running or just listening along with us, thank you for joining us, and hope that you go check out what Will's got going on over there at the National Funding Scheme in the UK. Will, thank you very much.
Not at all, Gene, and all the best to everyone in New York. We wish you well.
Likewise.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Every mile matters. Bye.
Bye.
All right.